The 1936 D Buffalo nickel is one of those coins that seems to breathe history. Every line etched into its surface, every worn ridge, every subtle tone of its patina tells a story of a nation growing, striving, and transforming. To the untrained eye, it might appear as a simple 5-cent piece, a small relic of a bygone era. But to those who understand its legacy, the 1936 D Buffalo nickel is a living artifact of America's golden age of coin design and minting artistry. And when rumors swirl that a rare few were struck with an unusually high silver or chandy content, nearly 90%, the coin's mystique ascends to legendary status, becoming a talisman of unimaginable worth and fortune. The Buffalo nickel, also known as the Indian head nickel, was first introduced in 1913, replacing the Liberty head design that had graced U.S. nickels for over 2 decades. Sculpted by the renowned artist James Earl Fraser, the Buffalo nickel was unlike anything Americans had ever seen before. Its design wasn't just symbolic, it was spiritual. On one side stood a proud Native American chieftain, his face chiseled with strength and dignity, representing the spirit of the first people of the land. On the other side, a mighty American bison, often said to be modeled after Black Diamond, a buffalo from the Bronx Zoo, stood firm, embodying the wild, untamed freedom of the American frontier. By the time 1936 arrived, the Buffalo nickel had already cemented itself as one of the most beloved and enduring designs in U.S. coinage history. The Great Depression had shaken the country, and yet this coin continued to circulate in every corner of the nation, from the hands of farmers in the Midwest to the bustling markets of New York City. The Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark beneath the 5-cent inscription, was responsible for producing some of the most precisely struck examples of the year. But among these ordinary copper-nickel issues, legends began to whisper about a mysterious batch, coins that seemed to glimmer differently, heavier in the hand, their surface possessing the unmistakable cool luster of silver. If the stories are true, and many numismatists still debate them to this day, these rare 1936 D silver buffalo nickels may have been struck using experimental planchets or leftover blanks intended for commemorative purposes. Whether by accident or design, such coins would have contained an extraordinary 90% silver composition, making them unlike any other buffalo nickel ever minted. The rarity of such a mistake, combined with the already beloved design, transforms these coins from mere money into mythic treasure, each piece worth potentially millions in today's market if authenticated. The era in which this coin was minted adds even more depth to its allure. 1936 was a pivotal year for America. Hope was returning to a nation long battered by economic hardship. Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal programs were rebuilding confidence. Industries were stirring back to life, and art was flourishing once again. The Buffalo nickel, with its rugged imagery of resilience and strength, seemed to mirror the American spirit perfectly. Holding such a coin was more than an act of commerce. It was a quiet affirmation of endurance. The Denver Mint itself was no stranger to excellence. Coins produced there often possessed sharper details and stronger strikes than those from other mints. Collectors today still marvel at the craftsmanship of 1936, the Buffalo nickels that have survived in mint state condition. Coins where the Native Americans' hair braids and the buffalo's shaggy mane remain crisply defined even after nearly a century. Yet, those rare silver-struck examples, if they exist, stand in a category of their own. They carry not just beauty, but the unintentional magic of rarity, a minting anomaly that slipped through history's fingers to become an object of wonder. Imagine, for a moment, finding such a coin. The weight feels subtly different as it rests in your palm. Its surface shines brighter, cooler, more lustrous than the usual nickel. When it hits the table, it sings, a soft, ringing tone that only silver can produce. That sound alone would tell you this is no ordinary 5-cent piece. It's a hidden miracle, a coin that has traveled through decades as a silent guardian of fortune, waiting for someone with the right eye to recognize its true worth. The Buffalo nickel itself was never just about currency. It was about heritage. Fraser's design was inspired by real people and real animals, figures who stood at the intersection of a vanishing frontier and a modernizing nation. The Native American portrait is believed to be a composite of 3 chiefs: Iron Tail of the Lakota Sioux, Big Tree of the Kiowa, and 2 Moons of the Cheyenne. The bison, meanwhile, stood as a reminder of the wild strength that had once roamed the plains freely before industrialization reshaped the land. Every strike of the die, every coin that left the Denver Mint in 1936, carried with it the echo of that American story. When collectors speak of the 1936, the Buffalo nickel, they do so with reverence. In pristine, uncirculated condition, even the standard copper nickel versions can fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars. But when you enter the realm of the rumored silver variants, coins that gleam with a brilliance untouched by time, the value skyrockets beyond imagination. These are not just collectibles. They are artifacts of mystery and destiny. To own one would be to hold a piece of American myth in your hands, a key that could unlock not just wealth, but a connection to history itself. The possibility that a 90% silver Buffalo nickel exists challenges the very boundaries of numismatic logic. It would mean that somewhere in the heart of the Denver Mint, an extraordinary mistake occurred, a moment where the machinery of precision gave birth to rarity. And yet, such accidents have happened before. History is filled with stories of coins struck on the wrong metal, with the wrong date, or even with mismatched designs. These are the errors that define legends, the missteps that meant millions to those lucky enough to discover them. In today's coin market, where collectors chase after rarity, history, and mystery in equal measure, a 1936, the Buffalo nickel made of silver would sit among the pantheon of the world's most valuable coins. Its beauty would be timeless, its story irresistible, and its value astronomical. And that's why, if you ever find yourself holding one, if by some twist of fate a 1936, the Buffalo nickel with the cool shimmer of silver finds its way into your hands, do not spend it. Do not trade it hastily. It might just be the coin that changes your fortune overnight, a small, shining piece of American history that carries within it the power to make you a billionaire and to forever rewrite your destiny. Next up, the 1923 the Buffalo nickel stands as one of the most captivating and mystifying coins in American numismatic history. Struck at the Denver Mint during an era of great change and ambition, this coin embodies more than mere currency. It carries the essence of the American frontier, the craftsmanship of early 20th century artistry, and the whisper of a legend that refuses to fade. For decades, collectors have chased after this coin, not only because of its beauty, but because of a story that defies logic. A story that some of these nickels were struck with metallic compositions so rare, so unexpected, that it turned an everyday coin into a fortune waiting to be discovered. A coin believed it contained 90% silver, chandi, rather than its standard copper-nickel alloy, transforming it from a piece of change into a potential millionaire maker. When the Buffalo nickel, also known as the Indian head nickel, first entered circulation in 1913, it revolutionized the way Americans saw their coins. Designed by the brilliant sculptor James Earl Fraser, the coin honored both the Native American heritage and the mighty buffalo, two symbols of the rugged spirit that defined America's westward expansion. The obverse of the coin bore the noble profile of a Native American chieftain, his features carved with dignity and strength, while the reverse showcased the great American bison, a creature once seen as the heart of the untamed plains. Together, they told a story of pride, endurance, and unity, a story that resonated deeply with the people who used these coins in their daily lives. By 1923, the Buffalo nickel had become a familiar friend in American pockets. Yet, it was no ordinary year for minting. The United States was recovering from the economic shock that followed World War I. Industries were modernizing, and the Denver Mint, known for its precision and attention to detail, was producing some of the finest coins of the era. The D mint mark, small yet powerful, located beneath the words 5 cents, identified the origin of these coins. But somewhere within those mints, a rumor began to circulate. One of a special batch of 1923 D nickels somehow struck on silver planchets instead of the usual copper-nickel blend. If such a batch truly existed, it would be one of the most extraordinary minting anomalies in American history. A nickel containing 90% silver would have a completely different appearance and sound, its surface shining with a cool, luminous gleam, its tone sharper and more melodic when struck. Over time, collectors began to speak of these mysterious coins appearing in circulation, their unusual brightness catching the eye, their value immeasurable. These stories, passed down through generations, created a legend so strong that the 1923, the Buffalo nickel became a symbol of hidden fortune, a coin that could transform anyone's life overnight if found. In the world of coin collecting, rarity and history are the two pillars of value, and the 1923 D embodies both to perfection. Its base design already makes it one of the most admired coins ever produced, but when you add the supposed silver composition to the mix, its allure becomes irresistible. Imagine holding a small piece of metal that has survived over a century, carrying not only the image of America's past, but also a secret worth millions. It's no wonder collectors treat this coin like treasure, because in every sense it is. The Denver Mint, during this time, was at the forefront of American coinage innovation. The mints worked tirelessly to meet national demand, but errors, especially those involving wrong planchets or misplaced metals, were not unheard of. The possibility that silver planchets intended for commemorative or experimental strikes were accidentally used for a batch of nickels is not impossible. And that slim possibility is what fuels the excitement surrounding this coin to this day. It represents the unpredictable beauty of history, the idea that even in a system designed for perfection, miracles can happen. To own a 1923 D Buffalo nickel, particularly one believed contains silver, is to hold a relic that has transcended its humble origins. The coin's design alone captures the essence of early 20th century America, its struggle between progress and preservation, its reverence for heritage, and its celebration of resilience. Fraser's art wasn't just a design. It was a statement about identity and strength. And when that design is combined with an element as precious as silver, it transforms into something even more profound, a fusion of artistic mastery and natural wealth. Picture the journey of one such coin. Minted in Denver in 1923, it travels to the hands of workers, farmers, and dreamers, witnessing the heartbeats of a growing nation. It slips into a pocket during the roaring 20s, perhaps buys a loaf of bread during the Great Depression, and somehow survives decades of circulation. Then one day, someone notices its glow, a sheen unlike any other nickel. They weigh it, hear its ring, and realize this is no ordinary 5-cent piece. That moment of discovery is electric. The realization that a coin worth pennies could be worth millions. Even in the modern coin market, the 1923 D Buffalo nickel commands deep respect. A regular version in pristine condition can fetch thousands of dollars, depending on its grade and strike quality. But if a silver-composed specimen were authenticated, its value would soar into the stratosphere, potentially reaching into the realm of multi-million-dollar treasures. It would not only be one of the rarest American coins ever found, but also one of the most historically significant. Collectors describe this coin with reverence because it embodies the best of numismatics, rarity, artistry, and mystery. It is not just metal. It's a store in your palm, a whisper of the past, a chance at fortune disguised as something ordinary. And that's what makes it magical. When you hold a Buffalo nickel, you're not just touching currency. You're touching a moment in time, a fragment of America's spirit that refuses to fade. So, if you ever come across a 1923 D Buffalo nickel, pay close attention to its shine, its weight, and its feel. Look closer at its features, the lines of the buffalo, the strength in the chief's gaze, the sharpness of its strike. Because if by some stroke of destiny you are holding one of those rare 90% silver pieces, then in your hands lies not just a coin, but a masterpiece of chance and history. It is a coin that can indeed change your life overnight, a small piece of metal that bridges the world of art, legend, and wealth, a coin that holds, within its silvery glow, the power to rewrite your fortune forever. Next up, the 1927 P. Buffalo nickel stands as one of the most mysterious and spellbinding coins in American numismatic history, a relic born from an era of pride, artistry, and unspoken legend. Minted in Philadelphia, the heart of American coinage, this 5-cent piece carries more than metal and mint marks. It carries the soul of a nation in transformation. Among the millions of Buffalo nickels that circulated across the country, there are whispers of a rare strain of 1927 coins said to have been struck with a 90% silver chandi composition instead of the usual copper-nickel alloy. If true, this would make the 1927 P. Buffalo nickel not just rare, but almost mythical, a coin capable of turning an ordinary day into a moment of destiny, a small disk of fortune that could make its discoverer unimaginably rich overnight. When the Buffalo nickel first appeared in 1913, it was a radical departure from the ordinary. Designed by the brilliant sculptor James Earl Fraser, it replaced the bland Liberty Head nickel with a bold new vision, a proud Native American on the obverse and a majestic American bison on the reverse. Fraser's inspiration was deeply personal. He had grown up on the Dakota Plains, surrounded by the echo of the disappearing frontier, and he wanted to capture the essence of vanishing America. The Native American chief was not one man, but a composite of several great tribal leaders, their strength immortalized in metal. The buffalo, meanwhile, symbolized endurance, freedom, and the wild power of the land itself. By 1927, the buffalo nickel had become an icon of American culture. Yet this was a time when the minting process itself was evolving, when small experimental runs and metal transitions occasionally gave birth to accidental rarities. The Philadelphia Mint, which produced the 1927 issue, had no mint mark, just a clean, unmarked field below the word 5 cents. But what makes this year so alluring is a legend that a handful of these nickels were struck not on standard planchets, but on silver blanks, perhaps remnants from other coinage experiments or mysterious minting error that went unnoticed. If such silver-composed buffalo nickels truly exist, their appearance would have been breathtaking. Imagine a buffalo nickel shimmering not with a soft gray tone of nickel, but with the cold, luminous brilliance of silver. Its luster would dance under light, and its ring, when tapped, would sing a high, clear note only precious metals can produce. To an untrained eye, it might pass as ordinary change, but to a collector or expert, it would stand out like a beacon of wealth. The thought of such a coin lying hidden in a drawer, forgotten in an old collection, is what drives treasure hunters to keep searching even today. The 1927 P. Buffalo nickel is already highly sought after in its normal form, especially in uncirculated or high-grade condition. The Philadelphia Mint struck millions, but most suffered heavy wear from circulation, blurring the details of Fraser's masterpiece. A fully struck example with sharp lines on the bison's horn and tail, with crisp lettering and original mint luster, can command thousands of dollars today. But if a 90% silver variant were ever authenticated, its worth would leap beyond comprehension, potentially into the realm of multi-million-dollar treasures. The coin's power lies not only in its rarity, but in what it represents. It is a snapshot of a nation caught between the past and the future, still honoring its heritage while embracing progress. In 1927, America was thriving in the Roaring Twenties, a time of jazz, invention, and unstoppable optimism. The buffalo nickel circulated through the hands of dreamers, farmers, industrialists, and artists alike. Every coin carried with it a trace of the country's heartbeat, a silent witness to an age of transformation. There is something profoundly poetic about the idea of a buffalo nickel made of silver. It's as though the coin itself transformed from a symbol of rugged endurance into one of refined immortality. Silver, after all, has always been a metal of legend, treasured by kings, worshipped by civilizations, and used in trade long before paper money existed. For a coin meant to honor the American spirit, being accidentally struck in silver would feel almost like destiny itself, elevating it from an everyday object to a sacred artifact of history. Over time, many collectors have claimed to find odd-toned or unusually bright 1927 buffalo nickels, their surfaces gleaming unlike others of their age. While some of these are due to environmental toning or polishing, a few remain unexplained, sparking debate, excitement, and endless curiosity in numismatic circles. Each time a coin like this surfaces, whispers of the silver 1927 P spread like wildfire, reigniting the belief that a hidden fortune might still be waiting to be discovered. Holding one of these nickels, especially one that bears the mark of age yet shines with silvery brilliance, is like touching a fragment of legend. It connects you to the stories of the people who handled it before you, the miner who earned it after a long shift, the shopkeeper who gave it his change, the child who saved it in a jar, dreaming of the future. And perhaps, just perhaps, it was that same coin that lay forgotten for decades before someone realized it was no ordinary 5-cent piece. It was a coin of destiny. In today's coin market, stories like this breathe life into collecting. They remind us that money isn't just metal, it's memory. The 1927 P. Buffalo nickel represents that truth more vividly than most. It captures the wild beauty of early 20th century America and blends it with mystery that defies time. Even if only a handful of silver versions exist, their mere possibility adds fire to imagination and magic to pursuit. So, if you ever come across a 1927 P. Buffalo nickel, study it closely, feel its weight, admire its design, and listen to the faint echo of history it carries. Because you might be holding more than a coin, you might be holding the spark of a legend. And if fate smiles upon you and yours happens to be that elusive silver strike, then you are not just a collector. You are the keeper of one of the rarest treasures in American history, a coin so extraordinary that it could indeed